Convening has arrived, so I'd like to call this special meeting of the Public Facilities Authority to order for Tuesday, May 30th, 2020. Will the Secretary of Police make the announcements and call the roll?
No announcements today. Just the roll. Chair Rusty Paul.
Present.
Member John Paulson.
Here.
Member Melody Kelly. Here. Member Melissa Mueller. Here. Member Jody Rochelle. Member Tibby DeJulia.
Here.
Member Andy Bauman.
Here.
Is there a motion to approve the meeting agenda?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. DeJulia.
I move approval of the special meeting held on Tuesday, May 30th, 2023.
Have a motion by Mr. DeJulio. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved by Mr. DeJulio, seconded by Dr. Kelly, that we approve the meeting agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. The question is on approval of the meeting agenda. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The meeting agenda is approved. Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Chairman Paul.
Ms.
I'll
Rochelle.
move that we approve the meeting minutes for May 2nd, 2023.
We have a motion by Ms. Rochelle. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved by Ms. Rochelle, seconded by Ms. Mueller, that we approve the meeting minutes. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. The question is on approving of the meeting minutes. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The minutes are approved. Moving to new business, the Secretary, please call the roll.
This
Let me
is,
call the
this is GFA 2023-009. Consideration of approval of the guaranteed maximum pricing for the police headquarters and municipal courthouse project at 620 Moore Hall Road, presented by Director of Facilities and Capital Construction and Building Operations, Dave Wells.
Mr. Wells.
Good afternoon, Chairman Paul, members of the PFA. We are pleased to present to you today the guaranteed maximum pricing for the police headquarters and courthouse project. Today we have Charlie Whiting with Reeds Young. You'll go over the GMP pricing, and we have Yara Bond. She's the lead architect on the project with Jericho. She'll go over the Bond.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for letting us be here and give you an update on the project. It's exciting for us. So brief kind of recap of the history of what we've gone through over the past few months to get to where we are today. We had our schematic pricing back in August of 2022. We moved through then design development pricing in February of this year. We were approved to move forward with a total estimated cost of $50.7 million. And then since then, we have worked with the additional plots of land that the city procured to redesign the fleet maintenance site and really get that as cost effective as possible and take advantage of those additional pieces of land. Additionally, we worked through releasing some trades due to cost and time that it was helpful to release them to lock in pricing and begin material procurement to keep the rest of the schedule. And finally, that got us to our GMP pricing effort that we've gone through. This is when we went out to the market, over 200 trade contractors solicited and got full market validation and bid the project out to come up with our GMP price that we'll present today. So to update on the project budget. As designed, the police headquarters and municipal court building came in at $36.677 million. The fleet maintenance building and associated site work was $3.6 million. Our design detail contingency at this phase of the project gets zeroed out as it's allocated to the cost of work above. Our construction manager costs, contingency and fee, and then finally, you've got our owner's contingency that we'll talk a little bit about in a minute as well. All of those added together to come up with our $46.8 million direct construction cost line item. So that was over our targeted budget. And then we focused on some value management items to really make sure we were maximizing the funds allocated towards this project. As I mentioned before, we worked through a redesign of the site on the fleet maintenance with the additional parcels of land, moving some below ground detention above ground now that we had the extra real estate. We also evaluated the owner contingency that was going to be carried within the contract and made the decision as a team to reduce it as we had identified items where that contingency could be spent once construction began. We did a reassessment of the structural modifications to the building, and what all of that generated was about $1.6 million in savings to the slide that we showed previously. So that puts us at a direct construction cost of $45.188 million as it stands today. This next grouping of items are outside of the Reeves Young construction manager scope. That's the security system that will be directly procured by the city, commissioning agent, architectural and engineering design fees, the traffic study that was done, the geotechnical testing, that's actually part of the architectural engineering fees, material testing that's code required, multi-vista mapping of the existing facility, and then the furniture fixtures or FF&E allowance for the furnishings of the building is $2.3 million. For an all-in total estimated cost of $50.398 million. So to compare that to where we've been, at schematic, we wrapped up at about $50.5 million. At design development with value engineering, we were at $50.7 million. And today we stand at $50.39. So we're about $300,000 where we were last time we got direction to proceed forward with the budget. Any questions?
I do have one question. The line that has the building security by owner, and when we looked at this in February, it looks like that was a part of the direct construction costs.
Yep.
And
And what we did was, it has always been priced through the same vendor and process. It was just which line item or subtotal we included it in. We shifted it down for clarity, since it was not going to be a vendor that was contracted through us.
So is it apples to apples?
Yes, with the current design, it's the same. It's just, again, where it was
Well, I
subtotal.
think our no, your question was it, have you adjusted what the direct construction costs were from that time, or?
Yes, if you look at these direct construction cost lines, the 50.2, the 45, and the 46.8, those are not inclusive of the building security systems.
What made you decide to have a traffic study? You didn't have it originally. What's the need, why do we need a traffic study?
That was something that was required as we went through the design process.
By code, by our main development?
What happens if the traffic study says there's too much traffic?
Intersection in that area.
That's where the police department goes.
Yeah, that's where we were changing the location of the intersection. The entrance of the building, so there's a hill right there. So we had to do a traffic study. Find out what kind of intersection.
All right, thank you.
So the total project cost is $61,818,318. To date, we have $11,150,000 for the property purchase. We've encumbered between Reeves Young and Jericho $2.484 million, with a total cost to date of $13,634,000. The CM direct construction cost is $45 million with $188. If you back out the $958 that's already incurred, the future project cost for the GMP will be $44,230. That'll be a change order. There's the building security system that'll come back in front of council, in front of the PFA for a contract award for them. Commissioning $182,000. Material testing at $70,000. Multi-vista at $65,000, and then there's an FF&E allowance of $2.3 million. Brings us total future project cost of $47,914,386. We have a total available budget of $48,183,374. Gives us remaining funds in the line item $268,988.
Dave, just a reminder, time, but that property purchase cost is this building, this land, and a whole lot of excess land. That's gonna allow us to do a lot of other projects that, by carrying that 11,150,000 in this budget, we will have zero land cost in the other projects we're doing. So this was was a great purchase for the city.
Yes, Scott.
Yeah, so.
Any other discussion? Anything else?
Right now, we'll go over the design a little bit, design elements.
Quick recap on our current design. And here you can see the site plan we have for the police headquarters and municipal court. Right here is where you see the additional property that you have. So everything from this point to the left is our current project. And everything from here to the right is to the buildings are future. You own that land currently. We already surveyed that lot as part of our design feed. So we know what we can put there. But this is the current project. We have our police headquarters building right here. The original entrance was directly across the building. What we did is we have two entrances, one on the left side, and this is for the secure parking area. And then we have the public entrance. This is the new entrance that we required the study for. We aligned it with the road that's across the street, and that's where we're going to the public. This is going to serve for the future properties as well, as you can see there when we do those buildings.
Is the overflow parking up there, is that included in our GMP?
So it is currently, right now, it is a parking lot that could be used. This entire area is paved.
But, so we're doing nothing to that parking lot except,
That is outside of our scope.
well, I know it's outside the scope of the project, but I mean, we don't have to repave it or stripe it or do anything to it. It's ready to go.
So for now, we're using it as is if needed, but in the future, the idea here is this will still serve, we're gonna still plan for having an overflow parking there if you need it for this.
If it does.
So it's just gonna be a big empty space.
Any questions on the site plan? So updated renderings. So this is the existing building was the additions. The existing building is about 110,000 square feet, and we added about 20,000 square feet of addition to it. What you're seeing here is the one story that is our addition, and that is our building in the back. We completely reskinned the building, provided for it to meet energy code requirements as well. So all the installation requirements and all that is current.
How many parking spaces are there?
So we have right now 57 parking spaces in the public, and I believe 150 for the secure. And again,
57?
and
Is that enough
overflow is,
parking?
Plus the overflow, right?
plus the overflow.
Well, the overflow, so we're gonna, that's just like you said, we weren't gonna do the overflow.
So currently it is parking.
Oh, okay, got it.
This whole area right now is paved and it's
Okay.
currently a parking
Got
lot.
it.
That can be,
In the current design, we have one courtroom that's going to be finished. The other courtroom is a future courtroom. That'll require future parking.
Okay.
We'll have it overflow.
Court will be the maximum use of the parking lot. Yeah, I have any idea what that maximum use is now? Number of cars in parking lot?
so we took that into account and we provided the maximum number of parking that we can with the site that we have existing.
Yeah, but is it adequate?
We believe it is.
A lot of folks come to court and they get a half excuse not to be there, they'll leave.
From the design standpoint, right now, we believe this is adequate, again, with the overflow that you have, because this entire area is a parking lot right now.
How many cars can you park in the overflow?
I did not count that, to be honest, but again, the entire, from here, you have, this whole area is a parking lot right now.
Is the area where the proposed new building is a parking lot too?
Part of it is still, not all of it, basically from here to the back, if I remember correctly, is parked space. So this is more views that show you exactly the building and the design for it. We do have a plaza in the front. We have a little courtyard in the middle of the building that's part of the design.
Would you go back to that last slide? Since everybody's talking about it, can we to the site plan slide, I'm sorry. Would it make sense to Mr. Lee's point? Else that's sort of alluding to it, to consider maybe a sheltered walkway I know that all of the handicap parking will be building adjacent,
And
correct?
everything handicapped is considered right next to
Right, I
the
mean, if we had wanted to do something, some sort of canopied shelter to get people over, is there room to do it if we wanted to, a sidewalk that we could do it over?
a sidewalk between
The area,
the
yeah.
area. We can study it and see what we can
Well,
provide. as
I'm not
part of this.
dictating that, but just mentioning that, I think, there's concern about, getting people from. I'm not gonna worry about it, but
How many of the 57 parking spots are handicap?
7.
7? So there's really 50 spots. And that seems low to me, but
And again, all your staff is parking in the secure area.
Yeah.
So that is strictly just for public.
would, how about, let me add, let's just, will guests from City Hall, let's say, for example, the mayor has business there, council has a meeting to attend or whatever, will we have access to, will anybody from City Hall have access to, that, or is that something you just haven't thought about yet?
We haven't sorted that out yet, but I would anticipate there would be appropriate access to credentialed personnel.
Okay, yeah, just, I think what we're all alluding to, is there enough parking at the busy times? And I think your answer is yes, with the overflow,
With the
just
current,
to make sure signage is good and it's conducive, so people don't use it as an excuse to.
and we looked at it even in the future, if you were to build more properties, you can still provide an overflow parking lot in that area.
One thing with court too, you got to realize that a lot of people in court, we give them a ride there, big black van, so they're not coming.
My plan is to drive myself there.
So most of our customers, we provide
Especially if they're doing that 100 miles an hour,
115.
150.
The reason I bring it up is that the court now is staggered. They have a calendar that runs a couple hours or 3 hours, and they have a break, then they run another calendar 2 or 3 hours. And at some point, the efficiencies, we would like the efficiencies to drive how court is handled, and not, we got to do court because we got to have enough parking places. And that's my great concern for it. If we grow the court, and you got to figure it's going to grow. And we have court 4 days a week as it is, which is a big deal.
And we have an unused court in this building.
Right, that's why we're putting another courtroom in. So if 50 is adequate now, and we open up the other courtroom, which I'm guessing you want to, because you're building it, we're gonna need 100. And I just am very concerned that the parking lot shouldn't drive the efficiency of the court. That's my point.
I agree. You have the lot right now, so we have the land right next to it. If that becomes a need, the land is already here. So it's more just the connectivity between the two. And our project right now is limited to, the entrance, the connection between that could be studied further.
And so the design of the flow, the entranceway and all that suits the expansion.
Yes.
Okay.
We did look at how to use it. And as you can see it here, even the size of the buildings that we are showing is what we believe you will need for those type of buildings that are there.
Is there a place for a helicopter to land here?
In the parking lot.
You have trees shown in the parking lot, which is problematic for helicopters. That's why I'm asking. You see the trees between the islands?
So the trees are a requirement also. We provide trees as required by community development.
I
That
think
is
it's fantastic that you provide
Yeah.
trees. My point is, if you have trees in the parking lot, you can't land a helicopter there. So,
Councilman, also, we haven't taken that into consideration. We definitely can take it into consideration with design.
just in case.
That and never been brought up in any of our design uses.
And it could very well be the grass area in front, it's just low bushes, maybe that's where you can land it. But in case somebody wants to land a helicopter there, at least have thought it through, that's all I'm asking.
So right here, and it's sloped, this area is sloped that you're seeing here. It's going to have trees and landscape. This is more shown just for a design. For the rendering purposes, we can study an area for the parking lot. Where could it work? Where is a flat area? That's land.
If we did have to land a helicopter, we would close off Morgan Falls Road, because we've done that
on the street.
Yeah, and just landed on the street. We did that on Abernathy for the State Patrol canine that was shot that had to go to Blue Pearl. So what you do, you just block off both ends. Don't
worry about that.
The problem we got here is the high tension power lines for helicopters.
Yeah, well, it's not running in those either.
No, they don't like flying into those.
Okay, well, if you can park in, if you can land it in the street when you need to, don't worry about it. Draw the question.
Our views of police headquarters building. We're gonna have the signage on the adjacent to the building, and then there's gonna also be a monument sign that's off Morgan Falls Road that shows you where the building is.
It's nice.
This is the backside of the building. You're looking at the secure parking area. You have the vehicular sally port there. This is an addition, and this is the building that's been renovated. This is the entrance for the police airport up of the secure area. Any questions on the design for?
The people going into the court and the people going into the police headquarters go in the same entrance, or will the court have a separate entrance?
Same entrance.
Same entrance.
And it is right here.
Will the black van people come in the same entrance? They're gonna come in through it.
Now,
Right.
Sally,
Yeah, okay, yeah.
They're gonna go through the side.
and this is the staff entrance here.
Yeah.
So the public entrance is in the front.
That's court staff, the police will enter the same. entrance. Court, the people, the public are gonna be coming in front of the building. Split in a separate area.
just one entrance in the front of the building.
So
Yes.
We contemplating, metal detectors. What's the
Yes.
plan?
Currently,
We are. So
Okay. Do we have a name now?
Yes.
Oh, for the court,
right,
but what about the police headquarters? How's that work? Is it gonna be?
you don't get in, you don't get past the entryway of
Receptionist
the
desk.
PD unless you escort.
So to get to the receptionist desk though, is it gonna be? That's gonna be completely open to the public, without any,
So to answer your question, this is our entrance area. It's the white box right here. When you go inside, you're gonna go through metal detectors.
so when you first enter the doors into the facility, it'll be through metal detectors.
That is right. And then once you're inside, you're going to the right to the police and to the left to the court.
And if I remember, don't you have balusters in front of the entryway there so you can't drive into it?
Yes, that's been taken into account. We designed it to where a car cannot go through.
So does that mean, well, just curious that we're gonna have, is there a no weapons? I mean, what's the rule on this? You can't bring a weapon in, right?
Into the courtroom, no.
Well. Before you even get into the courtroom, you gotta go through into the building.
Right. So there should be no weapons there unless you're law enforcement to get in there. The thing is staffing. So somebody comes in at 3 a.m, you're not gonna have the metal detectors on. But it'll be armored like it is now. If somebody comes in, you can't shoot through the glass or the wall. But we want it open 24/7, because right now the police department technically is only open to the public from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Any other way to get in touch with the police department, you're gonna call 911. There's no walk-ins after 5:30 p.m. But
So
with this setup, there will be.
There will be. Okay, but the metal detectors will be for when court is in session.
Right.
Or regular operating business hours.
But if you come in here, it'll be a GCIC clerk inside the building, but you'll be behind armored, walls, windows.
But to his point, that's after you go to the metal.
So there's security in the building as well.
Right, but the common entryway will
Only during business hours.
screen everybody.
Yeah.
During business hours, you're screening everybody. After that, you have your security offices directly adjacent to that.
If there was a community event or something that we wanted, obviously we could run the security thing anytime you want.
And the building is designed to where public has very limited access to the building. Everything after certain entrances, you're gonna have to have a key card to be able to access. So we'll move on to our fleet maintenance. Fleet maintenance is offsite. This is the design of the building. It's currently a metal building. But we worked on the size of the building and what's required in it directly with everybody at the city. Again, metal building, so it's pretty simple. We provided metal panels on the building. There is the side that face Roswell Road will have brick on it that was required. This is the current site plan. So the site plan we started off, this is the additional 2 parcels that were purchased later, we started off with a design with the original site. We had underground detention for stormwater. With the purpose of those two additional sites, it allowed us to provide above ground detention, which is what you're seeing right here. This is our building, which is approximately 6,000 square feet. We have about 25 parking spaces there. And we also have a fueling station that's going to be, we're going to put the tanks in as part of this design. Then in the future, the canopy and everything else is going to come. Any questions on fleet?
Where's the car wash for the police vehicles gonna be?
They do not do car wash right here.
It's right next door.
Is it gonna be at next?
There's a car wash existing next door to this property.
Yeah, we currently use the one right here, across from the Goodwill. on Russell Road.
Oh, so we're not putting our own in?
No.
Our own police.
It's at Abernathy, it's at Abernathy. All
Any
right,
questions?
Okay, so our next steps, hope we get approved today. Then we'll start into permitting and contracts, and get the contract signed and everything, and probably start construction sometime mid-July, with a substantial completion of December 2024.
all right, you've heard the report of the Director of Facilities and Capital Construction. What's the desire of the authority?
Chairman Paul.
Mr. Dr. Kelly,
I move approval of agenda item PFA 2023-009, approval of the guaranteed maximum pricing for the police headquarters and municipal courthouse project at 620 Morgan Falls Road, and to authorize the general manager to execute the change order of the contract.
motion. Motion by Dr. Kelly.
Second.
All right, seconded by Mr. Baumann. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. The question's on agenda item PFA 2023-009, approval of the guaranteed maximum pricing for the police headquarters municipal courthouse project at 620 Morgan Falls Road, and authorizing the city manager to make change orders. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Others, no. The item is approved. Clerk, please read the next item.
This is PFA 2023-010, consideration to approve the consolidated amendments to lease agreements for the police department and municipal court, presented by the general manager. Lease agreement.
Freeman.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the PFA, this afternoon, we have a companion item to the item that you just heard before you. We are in need of extending the current lease for the space that the Phillips Springs Police Department and Municipal Court occupies at 7840 Roswell Road in buildings 300, 400, and part of 500. We have successfully worked with the landlord and negotiated a 12% increase over the current rate of $16.50 per square foot to $18.50 per square foot. And we are recommending that we move forward with the amendment as proposed to council today.
All right, you've heard the report of the general manager. What's the desire of the authority?
Chairman Paul.
Dr. Kelly,
I move approval of the consolidated amendments to the lease agreements for police department and municipal court.
motion by Dr. Kelly. Is there a second?
Second.
And moved by Dr. Kelly, seconded by Ms. Reichel, that we approve agenda item PFA 2023-010, the consolidated amendments to the lease agreements for police department and municipal courts. Any discussion? Ms. Rochelle.
So it's gonna be finished December 24, and this goes to July 1st. Is that so for moving and
Give us time to get everything moved out and decommission the existing facility that we'll be leaving.
I also have a question.
Dr. Kelly.
I noticed we have a 6-month renewal on this one. I know in the previous contract, it was 12. I guess we didn't feel like we needed a 12 or.
No, ma'am, we didn't. We felt like the 6-month renewal period would be fine, but that's why we asked for a 24-month extension on the current lease.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. The question's on PFA 2023-010, approving the consolidated amendments to the lease agreement for police department and municipal court. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The item is approved. Is there a motion to adjourn the PFA?
Mr. Chair,
Mr.
I
DiGiulio.
move adjournment.
Mr. DiGiulio moves adjournment, seconded by Ms. Rochelle. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We are adjourned, the PFA. Now moving to the special called meeting. I would like to call this special called meeting of the Sandy Springs City Council to order for Tuesday, May 30th, 2023. Will the city clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Steve Paul,
Present.
Councilmember John Paulson.
Here.
Councilmember Melody Kelly. Here. Councilmember Melissa Mueller. Here. Councilmember Jody Rochelle. Councilmember David DiGiulio.
Here.
Councilmember Andy Brownman.
Here.
Is there a motion to approve the meeting agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of the meeting, especially called meeting for Tuesday, May 30th, 2023.
Mr. Julio moves approval of the meeting agenda. Is there a discussion? A second?
Second.
And moved by Mr. DiGiulio, seconded by Mr. Paulson, that we approve the meeting agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. The question's on approval of the meeting agenda. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The item is approved.
Mayor Paul,
Mr. Paulson,
I move that we suspend regular order, move into executive session for the purposes of real estate and litigation.
we have a motion by Mr. Paulson. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Paulson, seconded by Mr. DiGiulio, that we suspend regular order and move into executive session. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. The question's on the executive session. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We are in executive session. We will come back.
Are we staying here?
Are we gonna stay here?
We're gonna stay here
So everybody else will leave. All right.
we're gonna disconnect Zoom because no action.